I'd better take some notes.
Well, you can start by putting that page on Delicious. Put all your favorite internet sites in one place and organize them into meaningful groups. Then share them with others. When you find someone with similar interests, you can use them to help you find interesting and relevant material. You don't have to search the web, they may have done it for you already. Students in the Digital Lit course record all relevant sites on their own Delicious accounts and can use it for the rest of their study.
But I don't want just the sites, I need to record my thoughts too.
That calls for a blog page. Here you are. Use this for self-reflection and recording your thoughts about the topics we study. You can add pictures and video too.
Is it just for me?
This can be great for use for real classrooms as an authentic space for student publication. Not only that, people around the world can see what we are doing in class. And families have a chance to be part of a class. They can comment on what happens.
So blogs can be used for all sorts of purposes.
They can be a record of learning, a place for reflective writing, a place to publish student work, a place for fun and games, a place to share ideas and links to other places.
So what did the digital literacy students do?
Let's take a look. First, they made some pictures.
Anyone can do that.
True, and that's great, because we can use those pictures as the basis of story writing ideas and to brighten up our walls. But they had to make something special. They had to composite a picture that wasn't real. They had to put together images to make a novel picture. This helps us realize that what we see these days is not always real. We have to be skeptical about the images that surround us now.
That's neat, but you've got to have expensive software to do that kind of thing.
Not always. Where we can, we look for free or alternatives that can be used, but sometimes we need to use commercially licensed software.
Those pictures tell us a lot, but it's not really like a story.
No, but we can get children making fantastic stories even before they can write by using slideshows such as the free Photo Story 3-point software.
That's not a story, that's a set of instructions.
Yes, you're right. It is so flexible we can even use it for transactional writing tasks, which is a really great way of structuring children's thinking.
So you can start that from kindergarten.
It works from kindergarten all through primary and secondary levels. It is great for reluctant writers, for people worried about spelling and grammar. The important thing to remember is that we must always be improving and refining our presentations. Just as writing has to improve, the quality and complexity of the photo story should be developed over the grades.
So you are saying that children could use this instead of story writing?
Maybe, especially for reluctant writers or pre-literate writers. But it is storytelling that we are interested in, that is the creative process. We don't need to limit ourselves to recording that in written words anymore. We can even do it just with voices.
What, like on the radio?
Yes, but in this case we call it podcasting. You record the story or information, and maybe add some music or even sound effects, then publish it on the internet. Maybe on your blog or on an internet podcasting site. Podcasting brings us back to oral traditions that really suit some children, and is especially good for second language learners.
Cool, but where would you get those sound effects or the music from? You can't just copy them, because they are copyrighted.
That is where we have to make our own. We can make our own jingles and tunes out of loops, and if we don't want to record our own sound effects, there are plenty of free libraries that will help us out there.
Sounds like fun. I always wanted to be a rock star.
Actually, the music is pretty hard to do effectively, so that is one that tends to be more useful with older kids.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it is not the teacher that is making all this, it is meant to be the children. So lots.
Well, making films is an important area, but it is huge and there are so many different kinds and ways of making movies. It is an enormous course all in itself. We decided to cover the planning and editing of a video interview.
Why an interview? Isn't that boring?
No, not really. It illustrates the principles really well. It is narrow in focus but generalizes to other types of movies, and more importantly, in practical terms, it is actually the most practical use of video in a school. Classes can get lots of visitors who can be recorded. In addition, it is much easier to show the developmental stages and style issues that we need to discuss. An interview also forces filmmakers into considering how to handle scene changes with only one camera, which emphasizes the need for storyboards and planning. Remember, we have to practice many times to get better, not just do one-off attempts. The interview lets us concentrate on the techniques and grammar of movie making without having to be too concerned about the content at this beginning stage. Later, when students have mastered the planning, storyboarding, the filming and the editing, then they can be more concerned about theatrical content.
So video is a pretty complicated business.
It is an area that can be used throughout the curriculum and across all the grades, and there is a whole world out there waiting to watch what we eventually make.
Aren't you worried about the internet in school?
It is a big issue and a topic we have to discuss: privacy, copyright, appropriate materials, reliability of sources, but much of that comes in our second year course, and also how to manage access to the internet in the classroom. Issues about cyberbullying, porn, network speed, broken links all get covered.
You are pretty busy.
Yes, well, with some of these we have to move fairly quickly, as this is only an introductory course. We expect that the students will get further practice and exposure by integrating their learning into other curriculum areas during their 4 years of study at the college.
What else did you fit in?
We also looked at freeware programs that students could find and use, and we considered what would be the next killer applications in the future, because the whole digital world is changing so quickly, they have to learn to keep on their toes.
So what's new?
Well, keep your eyes on the new non-Roman character domain names on the internet, and keep a very close eye on those cell phones. They are more powerful than many computers were a few years back.
The students must have been exhausted at the end.
They worked hard, they learned heaps, and they found their way into new areas which they could use in their future classrooms. While they haven't changed from digital immigrants into digital natives, they have become digital customs officers. They know how and why to use digital literacy in their teaching and learning. And they are ready to help children be literate in a digital age.